WIBnet.us. An Amtrak train has derailed south of Seattle near Tacoma. It was traveling 80 miles an hour, derailed on a bridge, and cars in the train are dangling over the bridge. A couple of them fell down onto I-5. There are injuries and a number of other casualties and so forth reported. First day of this particular service. I don't know the first day for the train itself, but first day for this service. And it happened right in the heat of the morning rush hour out there, and it's a devastating circumstance. Watching TV of it now, and this is, it's just a mess. By the way, this is, what is it, day 2 now? How many of you have lost your internet? I mean, we got rid of net neutrality, and it was supposed to be the end of the free. How many of you have lost your Wi-Fi server? I have, but that's a different thing. My tech world today has been upside down since I got here, but I'm not complaining. But I mean, overall, how many of you have lost? How many of you have been unable to go where you wanted to go on the internet today? A big, fat zero. But by this time, major conglomerates were supposed to have taken over the internet and either charged you more than you can afford, and if you couldn't pay it, your service would be canceled and you'd be frozen out. But you're still able to go online, aren't you? Just a little reminder. I want to take an opportunity today to delve into the positive and the affirmative. There's way too much negativity out there, folks. It's too easy to get caught up in it. It is intended for you to get caught up in it. The negativity in the drive-by media and in the people that, as I say it, write the daily script for the soap opera that is what we think of as news coming out of Washington primarily, but nationwide, is designed to depress you. It's designed to dispirit you. It's designed to make you despondent. What it really is designed to do is to make you put your hands up and say, I quit. And you are to eventually get so fed up that you just tune out. You give up your passion for politics and national affairs, particularly if you're a Trump supporter. That's the long-term objective of the work of the drive-by media on you. On Trump, of course, the objective is to get rid of Trump. But while all this is happening, there is amazingly positive and uplifting and encouraging news. And by definition, the drive-by media, they're reporting it. It is not being heralded. It's not being trumpeted. It's not being focused on. There are no cable TV news network panels assembled to analyze it or discuss it. No, instead, the news is so good that the drive-bys had to create a new meme and narrative over the weekend to distract everybody from it. And that narrative is that Trump is going to fire Mueller before Christmas. Jackie Speier, Democrat Congresswoman, I don't know, for California, wherever she's from, actually said that she has heard from high sources that Trump is going to fire Mueller by Friday. That's all it took. The drive-by media picked up with it and ran with it, and it became the narrative for the weekend, and it remained the narrative of the morning as the news continued to break. That was the bombshell intended to distract you from the real news. All the ginned up hysteria about Trump going to fire Mueller before Christmas. And the media and the Democrats are trying to portray this as a coup. They're trying to portray this as Trump acknowledging his guilt and is taking a preemptive strike against the special counsel to derail the investigation. Plus, he's going to pardon Flynn. And this was out there for a day and a half or 2 days, and it survived into the morning, and then Trump finally came out. I'm not firing Mueller. By the way, with half the country thinking Mueller's investigation's a sack of garbage, why would he fire Mueller? There isn't any evidence that Mueller has anything on Trump anyway. Mueller's so off the rails, he's having to go back and look at emails that he supposedly acquired legitimately from the Trump transition team. What does any of this have to do with collusion between Trump and the Russians, which was the predicate for starting all of this? So, yeah, the Steelers? Oh, let me tell you, it's a bogus rule, but the rule is the rule. And on that touchdown catch that was overruled. It's silly. The contradictions. If that had been a running play, the moment that ball crossed the plane of the goal line, it's a touchdown. But because it was a pass play, somehow, now the rule is, thank you, Calvin Johnson, you have to survive the ground. You have to catch the ball, and then when you hit the ground, you have to maintain possession, no matter how many seconds have gone by after crossing the plane. Jesse James, number 81, tight end for the Steelers, caught the pass untouched, went to his knees. He was down. He had not been touched. He lunged over the goal line. Ball crosses the plane. As he touches the ground, the ball jostled a bit, and they said no touchdown. That is the rule. And it's only in the NFL that is not a touchdown. But, folks, that's not where the Steelers lost that game. I'm sorry to tell you. The Steelers lost that game 2 separate times prior to that series. The first time the Steelers lost the game was when they were unable to stop Brady and Gronkowski from going 77 yards in 70 seconds. 2 26-yard pass plays to Gronkowski, a 17-yard pass play to Gronkowski, and a 5-yard running play for a touchdown. All inside less than a minute, unable to stop this with 3 minutes left. Then they get the ball back. They're still leading after this. And they go 3 and out. And I'm chatting with some people, and the minute they came up short on third down, Juju Smith-Schuster was stopped foot and a half short of first down. So they're punting the ball with a little over 2 minutes left, and I'm saying it game over. If they had just made a first down. But the real problem in the drive I just described exposed the basic problem Steelers have. For those of you who care, they just don't have a pass defense. They've been playing zone coverage all game and decided to go man-to-man on that drive, and they put a stick, Sean Davis, 6'1", 205 against Gronkowski, 6'6", 275, on single coverage, no double coverage, and it was man coverage. It was just Steelers' pass defense has been suspect the whole season. It's been one of the big problems. They've got Shazier out. Shazier would have been on this guy. Shazier would have been on Gronkowski. Still, it was a royal screw job on the touchdown. I mean, I'm not trying to diminish that by any stretch, but it needn't have been necessary. Had they just been able to make a first down, 3 and out with 2.5 minutes left or whatever it was. So that's the Steelers wrap-up. Now, the media, folks, is counting on people like you being too busy with your Christmas shopping to really be paying that close attention to what's going on in the news. But for those of you who are, the actual news is actually the opposite, almost the opposite of what's being reported. For instance, the drive-bys keep claiming that Trump is pulling out all the stops to try to discredit Mueller and his team. Trump isn't doing that. Mueller is. Mueller's own team is discrediting itself. Well, even George Will, who hates Trump. George Will, in a column last week, Trump is the worst president in American history, George Will wrote. Has a piece out today, or maybe a comment somewhere. I don't know, maybe it was on TV commentary. I forget where it was. But he said or wrote that he can't believe such a responsible guy with so much integrity as Bob Mueller would put this many anti-Trumpist, pro-Hillary people on his investigation team. He just can't understand it. Can't believe why that would happen. Trump isn't discrediting Mueller. Trump doesn't have to discredit Mueller. Mueller is discrediting Mueller, and all the people that work for him are discrediting this investigation. From this Orr guy, Bruce Orr, to Strzok, to Andrew McCabe, to the mistress, to the Wisenstein, whatever the number one aide to Mueller is. I mean, these people are as corrupt as the day is long, and if there's any... drive-bys are trying to say that Trump is actually running a coup against Mueller. Do you believe this? When in fact it is the opposite. It's Mueller and his team discrediting themselves. Now, the latest way that the Mueller team has discredited itself was revealed over the weekend. We learned that the Mueller people got tens of thousands of emails from the Trump transition team that had been stored by the General Services Administration, and they've had them for a while. And they have been asked... They have been interviewing people on the basis of these emails that nobody knew they had. Donald Trump Jr. had a 20-minute meeting and has had 20 hours of interviews with this team of people. And that's just one example. The emails included privileged communications, including lawyer-client communications, and the Mueller team did not have permission from the owners of these emails to get them. Now, Mueller's saying, no, everything's on the up and up. Well, then why are we only just now learning that you had access? They were not gotten via warrant. It required some illness on the part of people running the GSA before Mueller found somebody that would turn this stuff over to him. Anyway, I have to take a quick time out. We'll do that. We will be back and continue right after this. The focus should be on Mueller and not Trump. Asking Trump if he's going to fire Mueller is an attempt to pressure and bully Trump into a no-win situation, because Trump fires him, riots in the streets, and who knows what other kinds of things will happen. If Trump doesn't fire Mueller, it's a green light for Mueller to be unaccountable and unstoppable. So about the only thing Trump can count on here is that by the survey, 50% of the people in the country think that what Mueller is doing is bogus and are not believing anything about this investigation that they've heard, but the other 50% do. And you given this last email grab from the transition team, Mueller's demonstrated that he doesn't have any evidence of Trump colluding with Putin, which is what this is all about. And this is the thing that ought to be of stark reality to everybody. The only reason for this investigation, the only perceived reason for this investigation is because of a supposed great concern that the Russians were able to hack our precious and delicate election systems. And the Russians were able to steal an election away from the woman who was supposed to win it. And instead, they stole it for Donald Trump. And we need to get to the bottom of this, because this represents one of the greatest penetrations of American security in the history of America. This is horrible and it's terrible. And if the Russians have found a way in, we need to find out. That was the reason for all of this. The media, the Democrats, got everybody all worried that our elections have been corrupted, that they're not legitimate, that the Russians can at will get in and pick whoever they want to win. A bunch of low-information voters hear that, and it duly scares them, as it should scare anybody if such a charge were ever serious. But there's never been any evidence of it. And after over a year of intense investigation, there still isn't. And that was the entire reason that was given to the public for this investigation. Now, the truth is, as far as Justice Department guidelines are concerned, it was not the reason given. There was no crime specified for Mueller to track down on purpose and by design. So Mueller is free to go look at whatever he wants to find any crime he can wherever it exists. And he's got a license to do just that. There isn't a shred of evidence on collusion. I read over the weekend, there's still some conservative blogs who apparently believe Trump colluded, and they're just now questioning the possibility that it didn't. Conservative blogs, supposedly conservative blogs, actually now beginning to write as though maybe this whole thing didn't happen. Now, they're granted they're never Trumpers. But it is the height of intellectual stupidity to think after this much time that there is a there. Mueller isn't even looking at that. Maybe with this acquisition of all these transition team emails, he thinks there's going to be some smoking gun in there. The people have had access to these emails in the GSA. You don't think the deep state knows what's in these things? But again, it doesn't matter what's in them. It's what is supposedly in them based on what leaks appear in the media. So we're not grounded in reality here in anything at all. If somebody wants to leak that there's a bombshell here, they can do it. And the drive-bys will dutifully publish it. And we will never know what it is. Nothing will ever come of it because there isn't a bombshell. If there were, it would have already surfaced. Because believe me, the entire Washington establishment has arisen each day out of bed looking, hoping, praying that that day is the day they find incontrovertible proof. that Putin stole the election and then hopefully did it with the help of Donald Trump. So the Mueller panel is out of control. But everybody's focusing on Trump and how out of control Trump is. Trump's going to fire Mueller before Christmas. And that becomes news that disguises everything else. Now, let me tell you what Donald Trump's on the verge of doing. Donald Trump's on the verge of repealing the Obamacare individual mandate via the passage of tax reform. And this is going to be huge, not just in terms of achieving something legislatively in his first year in office, but the substance of the tax cut is going to be huge. The American economy is roaring. The Federal Reserve, New York City, has raised their forecast for fourth quarter GDP growth to near 4%. Barack Obama never exceeded 1.5% economic growth. By the way, there is big news from Politico over the weekend that's also being ignored. Politico, and the headline, Obama let Hezbollah run cocaine into the U.S. in order to facilitate the Iran deal getting done. I'm going to tell you, the damage this man and his administration have done to this country is still largely unknown. And it will continue to dribble out, and we will have more revelations of it. In 2008, the DEA launched Project Cassandra to track Hezbollah's trafficking of drugs and weapons, money laundering, and other criminal activities, some of which were happening in the United States. As Project Cassandra carried on, the Obama administration threw a series of roadblocks in its way, Politico reported Sunday, when investigators sought approval for prosecutions, arrests, financial sanctions. Obama's Justice Department and Treasury Department delayed, hindered, or denied their requests. It was a policy decision, said Defense Department illicit finance analyst David Asher. It was a systematic decision. They really ripped apart this entire effort that was very well supported and resourced. It was done from the top down. And it was all to make sure the Iran deal didn't get derailed. Now, the Iran deal is Obama's grand achievement of ensuring that the Iranians will secure a nuclear weapons in less than 10 years, if they're not already on the precipice. And in order to not derail that, Obama told his Justice Department, Treasury Department to stop pursuing Hezbollah as they're running cocaine into the U.S., conducting money laundering. It's a bombshell. It's a literal bombshell that nobody knows about, even though it is in the Politico. Got to take another time out quickly, but back before you know it. Nobody's going to read 14,000 words. And the minute you start trying to summarize, Apple has a feature that very few people know about. You cut and paste text, you put it in a document, and you go to the services menu, say summarize. And you can select the degree to which it summarizes. So you can have this app, or it's not actually an app, it's a service. Take these 14,000 words and reduce them down to, say, 1,500 if you want to. Theoretically, it gives you the nuts and bolts of the story. But let me just sum this up for you. This is what 14,000 words in Politico mean. I'm just going to read this one little blurb. In its determination to secure a nuclear deal with Iran, the Obama administration derailed an ambitious law enforcement campaign targeting drug trafficking by the Iranian-backed terror group Hezbollah as it was funneling cocaine into the U.S. 14,000 words to report that. 14,000 words. It's deeply reported. It's extensively sourced. And the moment the average reader looks at it, they'll give up. You mean I've got to read 14,000 words? Yeah, but I just told you what the story says. In its determination to secure a nuclear deal with Iran. And why would Obama care about securing a nuclear deal with Iran? That's something else that needs to be looked at. Might there be a deep dislike and hatred for Israel on the part of the Obama administration? Might there be, if not that, a distinct bias against Israel? How in the world does something like this happen? And we have people trying to tell us that this is the greatest administration ever, and people all over this country have been brainwashed and fooled into thinking it. In its determined to secure a nuclear, let me rephrase that, in its deal, in its determination to secure nuclear weapons for Iran, because that's what the Iranian nuclear deal is. In its determination to secure nuclear weapons for Iran, the Obama administration derailed an ambitious law enforcement campaign, and it was the DOJ and the Treasury Department both working on this, which was targeting drug trafficking by Hezbollah, which is bought and paid for by Iran. Hezbollah was funneling cocaine into the U.S. Now, the DEA is all over Mexican drug cartels, right? One of the reasons why TSA security at airports is such that it is because of Mexican drug cartels and other things. Border security, you name it. And here's the Obama administration ordering law enforcement to look the other way when they find cocaine trafficking in the U.S. by Hezbollah. Now, why, Rush? Why would? Because Obama did not want to anger the Iranians. Remember, the Iranians at this time held either 4 or 8 Americans hostage, which Obama paid a ransom for, by the way, too. Flew pallets of American cash into Tehran, unmarked. It was, the sleaziest kind of payoff you can imagine. 14,000 words to say that. And because it's 14,000 words, nobody is going to be able to cut to the chase like I have here, because they're going to think 14,000 words, I've got to say more than a paragraph about it. But that's basically the story. Now, take Obama out of it and put George W. Bush in it. Or put Ronaldus Magnus, or put any Republican, put any name you want other than Obama in that paragraph. And I ask you if the drive-by media would be ho-humming it. But they are, because the focus must be on Trump is going to fire Mueller. That serves a dual purpose. It makes people think that Mueller's found the goods on Trump, and Trump can't handle it, so Trump's got to fire Mueller. That's what people are going to think. You can't blame them. They're not going to take it to the next deep 2 or 3 levels. Wow, Trump's going to fire. In fact, and the brain-dead leftists, it's becoming more and more obvious each day that they genuinely are. When they get rolling on social media with this stuff, which they already are as well, it just continues to spread that kind of absolute BS. But anyway, while all that's happening, Trump's on the verge of tax reform. House going to vote on it tomorrow. The Senate later. What's the target day? Thursday or Friday to get this done? Now, the economy is roaring. That's the House, but when's the Senate going to vote on it? I think the House vote is tomorrow, but we're not expected to get to a vote, from what I've heard, until later in the week. If the House and Senate are voting on it the same day, news to me. It'd be cool if it was the case. You know, McCain's fled. McCain went to Arizona, and Trump is saying he'll come back if we need his vote. With Corker saying he's going to vote for it and Susan Collins saying she's going to vote for it, they're not necessarily concerned right now. They're going to need McCain's vote because they've got Mike Pence there to break any tie that might happen. But this is a massive tax. The stock market was up 168 in futures today before it even opened. And this is largely anticipating the tax cut being passed and signed into law. It's roaring. At last I checked before the program began, the Dow Jones was up 175 and is continuing to rise. And the expectations are that it will, all on the expectation of tax reform passing. Trump is on the verge of opening up ANWR for gas and oil exploration. And Trump is on the verge of exposing a domestic spying scandal that could and should put Obama and Clinton operatives and holdovers in legal jeopardy. And I'm talking about the Mueller investigation. Now, that's the thing Trump is on. Those are the things Trump's on the verge of. What Trump has done is kept the Supreme Court out of the hands of radical leftists. He has seen to it that outstanding conservative appellate judges have been approved and nominated, of course. Regulations have been slashed incredibly. making markets more efficient and competitive. And he is presiding over a sustainable, growing economy and job base that nobody thought was possible. Remember, during the last couple of years of Obama, just like Jerry Brown told the people of California, hey, forest fires like this, they're the new norm. You better get used to it. This is climate change. You better get used to it. What an uplifting message that is. There's nothing the state of California can do to protect your property because of climate change. They're throwing their hands up. Governor Moonbeam. And they were doing the same thing with Obama and his economy. Hey, you know what? We have to manage the decline. America's best days are behind us. They didn't use those exact words. What they said was that America's great, roiling, rollicking economic past was artificial. It wasn't real. It was built on a bunch of phoniness. It was built on stealing and theft of resources of other nations. It was not legitimate. The U.S. was not legitimate from the days of our founding. And this new economy of 1% growth, with America's healthcare system being managed by the government, that was the new norm. You were to adjust to it. Donald Trump was elected president because he refused to buy such nonsense. And now we're on the verge of 4% economic growth when Trump and his budget projected 6% economic growth. Media economists and media analysts and deep state analysts wanted to impeach Trump over that. He was terribly misleading the people. Such things were not possible anymore. To promise or suggest 6% GDP was the height of irresponsibility, and it would lead to false expectations. It ended up just letting people down. Trump doesn't know what he's talking about. Except we've had 6% economic growth as a routine matter on many occasions in this country. The Obama administration never even approached 3% economic growth in 8 years. Now we're on the verge of 4% in less than 1 year. And that 1 year matters. This is a stark difference in two administrations. And it's so obvious the Obama team's running around trying to claim credit for this. They're running around trying to claim credit for this economy when they themselves told everybody this should not be expected anymore. Those days are behind us. But, folks, the economic statistics here, we could be on the verge. These next few years, we could be on the verge of a breakout American economy that would replicate previous eras of growth in this country that we haven't seen since the 1980s. We are on the precipice here of a rare opportunity. We have innovation, growth. We have the opportunity. Look, Trump has defeated ISIS. This is another thing. The media is not talking about that. Obama said ISIS, JV team. Never even made a serious effort to stop ISIS. Claimed it couldn't happen. Couldn't do it without angering the Russians, right? Couldn't stop ISIS without angering Syria and Bashar al-Assad. Came up with excuses for every reason not to do what's right, be it in the economy, be it foreign policy. ISIS has been defeated. We're on the verge of creating wealth for a vast majority of Americans, the likes of which they haven't seen in many years. Ditto security. And if it happens here, if what we're on the verge of seeing, now you may think I'm going insane here. What do you mean, Rush, on the verge of? Yeah, folks, this is really happening out there. And I should tell you that consumer confidence is at an all-time high, or near it, because the economy is real. People are living it. And that's why it is expanding and growing. And that's why there's this positive attitude about it. People are not being told it's happening and told that it's good. They're living it. Much to the chagrin and much to the anger of the American left. But you're not hearing any of this reported. That's why you think somebody speaking like I am might be a little insane here. But if this begins to happen in the United States, it will ripple throughout the world. Because everybody's going to want their piece. Everybody's going to want more to say. The American leftists and the worldwide leftists are going to continue their criticism of America. And as the economy grows and as wealth increases and expands, and as overall economic circumstances improve, the left is going to continue to bash them and to claim they're not real, that they're artificial, and it's nothing sustainable. That magic word will be used. And worldwide socialists and leftists will much say the same thing, but others are going to want in on it. And Trump is, I firmly believe, on the verge here of setting up a robust, fair, and friendly set of market forces that are going to spur innovation, entrepreneurism, and competition throughout the world with his trade deals. Despite what you and everybody else in the world is hearing from propaganda media, we are trending in all of the right directions. Not just economically. In terms of the judiciary, Trump is doing the right things in the appointing of judges. Remember, the judiciary is the Trump's insurance, or is the left's insurance policy for losing elections. I have to take a break a little long, but sit tight. We'll be back and continue in just. Despite what you are hearing from propaganda media, we have a stronger and more focused military. Stronger, more efficient, better trained, more focused, better funded military. We are gaining on terrorism. ISIS has been defeated. Putin is pulling troops out of Syria. ISIS has been defeated. You're not hearing a word about it because it makes Obama look very bad and Trump very good. We are producing massive and abundant energy. We're producing enough for the world, folks. Fracking has meant such a huge difference. We've got natural gas, more than we know what to do with. The same thing for fossil fuels and oil. We have no threats facing us on the energy front. And in fact, prices are lower, consumer prices are lower than they've been in a long time. Supplies are plentiful, and we keep finding more. And we have become a seller nation when it comes to energy rather than dependent on foreign sources. Importer. We are leading the world on showing how to do immigration correctly. Western Europe is still drowning in it, still having major problems with it. We still have the problem, but we are trending in the right direction, and at least proper policy implementation has been displayed and implemented. We are strengthening our economy. We're making it leaner and less regulated. And Trump has done all of this with the world aligned against him and with the media aligned against him. The opportunities here are real, folks. They're substantive and real. And the fact that you're not hearing it talked about and the fact that you're not hearing any negative economic news is all the evidence you should need. Let me grab a quick call. Terry, Salem, Oregon. Great to have you, sir. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Rush. I hope you're doing just as well.
Thank you, sir.
I'd like to get your take on what the Dems are saying about the SALT effect that is going to be in the new tax plan that's out there. I'm coming across some items where they're complaining about how the wealthy are actually going to be disenfranchised with the new tax plan.
Well, nobody's going to lose their vote over the tax plan. What Democrats are saying the wealthy are going to be disenfranchised?
Well, I saw something yesterday where Dianne Feinstein was complaining about the wealthy. 6 counties in California had an effect on the home costs, where you're not going to be able to deduct,
that's the home mortgage. That's the home mortgage. Yeah, I got that. This is fascinating. But you said the state local taxes problem. That's also got people like DiFi defending the wealthy. Democrats defending the wealthy over tax effects on the state local taxes not being deductible. I got to take a break, though. Hang on. I'll explain the mortgage business to you. And Feinstein was worried that wealthy people are going to lose their vote because of the tax cut bill. I was being literal in the interpretation of the definition of the word disenfranchised. What he meant was cast aside, harmed, or left out.